During the course of my studies in Chinese language and culture, I found myself confronted with a reality as far away as it was different from our own. Although there are many aspects and values of the Chinese world that differ from ours, in my opinion, the value reserved from the family and relation with others is one of the main ones. Taught an in-depth study of the vocabulary that the Chinese use daily to refer to family members, and also taught the study of concept of relationship, guanxi, I have come to conclusions that have allowed me to further understand how the house, nucleus, and family is the central pivot in the life of the Chinese. The study of Chinese civilization lead us to completely different really from ours, precisely in mental process and culture in general. Today, the Chinese come to us with a very strong desire to create business and put themselves at stake in our world so different from their own. But it is interesting to know their ancient culture just to understand the roots of the people who occupy the largest country in the world in anthropic and economic sense. The Chinese of today, integrated and westernized, maintain close relation with their ancient tradition and respect values that greatly condition their choice of life. Alongside a very advanced industry and finance, which took the country to second place in the productive world after the USA, there is a reality still immersed in feudalism. The clashes between old and the new also remain in the political field. The communist dictatorship of Mao still firmly in power, systematically violates human rights against dissidents, raising protests from all over the civilization world. The soul of China is Confucius, who has formed the Chinese man for more than 2 millennia and proposed for the first time an ethical conception of man. Confucius taught not elaborating his religion, as indicate to man how to become man, in order to create a society integrate into the harmony of the cosmos. In this way, a very strong relationship is formed in the society according to mutual obligation and duties. Nowadays, in China, the value of the family is still the same and the role of its member is fundamental in decisions making about work, relationship or affect life. Individualism over time is growing due to the closeness of the Western model and lifestyle, and is increasingly questioning the systematic abuse of more personal needs. The Chinese kinship is a no-fluid and extreme version of patriarchy, a system dominated by masculinity based on group linked by family members, immutable, exclusive connotation that consider women as foreign and disturbing elements. Although things have changed, marriage as an institution continues to play a central role in Chinese family and life. Older men had power in the family, while young people and women were the last member in the scale of power. Marriage was under the control of the older people, and the young women were particularly affected. Immediately after the marriage, a newly married bride moved into her husband's family home. From 1920 onward, young people, especially the cities, began to rebel against the principles of childlike piety, and the role of woman. Elderly people have thus begun to lose the power they once had, and young people to take over, gaining more freedom and becoming independent. Even if combined marriage are not achievable, daughters still await and need advice and support from their parents. However, there are surveys that show the opposite. It seems that parents are still active involved in the marital decision of their daughters. What has evolved considerably in the course of history and marriage is in fact the role played by parents. We are no longer talking about absolute control, but out important influence. All the action and child take into response to this moral principle correspond to the two different factors, the cultural background and the education imparted by family. In addition to the value of the filial piety, the study of vocabulary brings us to know the central role of this firstborn child in traditional China. A firstborn child represents security of workforce